Hey there, it's Josh, your intuitive guide, and today I want to share this cool presentation on spiritual and energetic hygiene because I feel it is absolutely imperative. It's not out of fear, it's just out of, I see so many people on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and there's so many people that are just diving into working with practitioners, whether they're psychics, mediums, empaths, um, you're talking to loved ones, you're looking for your own personal guidance or mentorship or help, insights, looking for someone outside of yourself to tap into something. So these are protocols that I feel not only for you, but also for the practitioner if you're watching. I've learned this over the years. I've been doing this pretty much most of my life, but in the last, I'd say 20 years, things have really activated for me just based on the frequencies and everything that are happening. So without further ado, let's just get into this. So before you step into the field, like when I work with clients, I will give you a little overview here. It's important that, I don't just accept someone to like, hey, can you tell me this, something about a relationship, someone that's passed on, a job, money, wealth, the typical topics that people want to cover. But it's important to recognize that hygiene, just like when you get up in the morning or, you brush your teeth or you shower when you get up and before you go to bed, right? Well, it's the same thing energetically. If you are in an angry place, if, things aren't happening in a certain way, do you expect, to get the type of results you may be seeking? I always tell people don't have expectations. You can have intentions, but don't for the outcome, right? That's the thing. I want to make this very, very clear. So, you know, um, this is why it matters. Okay, you wouldn't visit a massage therapist, right? Covered in mud, right? Person say, "Hey, you're dirty. Can't work on you. How can I work on the body?" So the same principle literally applies energetically. Okay, the field, your energetic state arrives before you do. Okay, so unless that practitioner or the client is just coming in very focused in a clean state mind, and granted, I understand that there are things happening and going on in people's worlds, and they're not in a most peaceful, loving, comfortable state. Okay, but when you go into this with this awareness ahead of time, this can change the outcome like 180% or 100, like one, you can have a 180, both for the practitioner and for the client. For the practitioner, especially if they're super empathic, they tend to leach a lot of energy, they get courting, there's a lot of things that are happening. And it's important to really, it's important to activate these protocols. So if it's something you've never considered, consider this just an offering for consideration, okay? The signal, what you carry in shapes what comes through, okay? And the mirror, and that's what I offer. I'm a guide and a mirror as a medium. Each person's different depending on what the situation, the scenario is, but there's also protocols, there's disciplinary, there's energetic boundaries. For me, I don't know what other people think, but in the mediumship world, there's something that's called footprinting. And a lot of mediums I see do this where they don't really even ask permission, right? They have access, they get information, but footprinting is like leaving your front door open in your house, right? And I just start walking around and looking at stuff without your consent or permission. No bueno, okay? Just want to say that. So this is something that you want to consider, okay? You want to clear your field first, okay? Like I said, you wouldn't go to a therapist covered in mud. And literally, what creates field interference? Well, you're angry, you're pissed off, you're tired, you're stressed, you've got other things on your mind. Stress and unresolved arguments distort the field. Substances, okay? I never work with anybody that's on drugs, that's alcohol or even pot. Marijuana, weed. I trust me, I've done all these things, so I know firsthand. I'm not just saying this just to like. It clouds your field, and it has. Now I understand there are people that are on prescriptions and stuff like that, and that's a case by case basis. But other people's energy clings. It can actually pierce your energy if your fields and shields are not anchored and grounded. Okay, so you want to clear it consciously. Yes, there's a lot of methods, and no, I'm not talking about using white light. White light is dead light, okay? It is what is called a Shona light field. It is finite. It is not a field that I would particularly use for clearing. Also static from these things, screens, tablets, TVs. If you're in your car, if you're in a newer car, man, you are in a soup of electromagnetic fields, especially if you've got an electric car or a hybrid. You've got Bluetooth, cloud technology, all kinds of stuff, and you're in a Faraday cage. So all that stuff is swarming around your own bioenergetic field, right? My suggestion is find a place before you go to visit your practitioner, or if you are the practitioner and you're driving around in those vehicles or things, you need to ground before you work with your client. You owe it to your client, to me, in my impression and idea. You owe it to your client to be completely present, grounded, and there for them, because they are seeking your counsel and guidance, and you, to me, need to be in a state of complete groundedness. You need to be present. If you had a client and you got really messed up or you got depleted, and you have a client following in the next, say, half hour, 30 minutes, or even if you're booking people back to back, I never book back to back. I may do 1 to 3 clients max in a day. Okay, that's it. That's my bandwidth. Okay, you have to, I do a checkup from the neck up. All right, enough on that. Even excitement without grounding can really do. So if someone comes in, they're just so excited about something, I can see the field. It's very unstable. It's an erratic frequency and stuff that's happening. Okay, moving on. All right, so the practitioner. You can smudge. You can use. Sage is okay. It does have a relatively small calming effect, but if you're dealing with something more, adverse, like something trying to pierce your fields and stuff like that, there's other practices that you can do that I would recommend, but that's not here. That's just something to put out in the field. Breathe, meditate, shower, pray, whatever just brings you happiness and grounding, right? Breath work, stretching. When you stretch, when you open up the fascia is your bioelectric circuitry. It actually, if things are going on and you've got a lot of cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, that contracts the fascia, that locks up things, tissue, ligaments, tendons. People that walk around like this, I can tell they've got so much emotional baggage. They're showing it in their physiology, okay? Client, avoid heavy arguments, substances, and negative media 2 to 3 hours before a session. That's key. All right. So here I want to talk about audit your inputs and, literally what I mean by this. And I'm going to put this up. This will be, I think, attached. I'll put it in. I don't know if I can attach it on YouTube in the description, but I'll find a way to get it. Or if you want this slide share, I'm happy to send it to you. Field pollutants, right? News, fear media. Who hasn't seen enough of that lately? Toxic social feeds, draining conversations. People do this a lot. It's like a hive mentality. They recapitulate the same old shit. How's the weather, the news, the politicians, the economics. This is going to crash. That's going to happen. Just drops your energy and your frequency. It just does. Okay. So violent or dark content, chronic complaint loops, there's just the victim, persecutor, rescuer. That's a whole other thing we can talk to. Field cleansers, prayer, meditation, just reflection. I call it inner reflection for outer direction. All right. My favorite, sunlight. Okay. AM sunlight is key. That UVB light spectrum does wonders, especially for you ladies, for the hormones. That's your compound pharmacy here. If you want to regulate your hormones without spending thousands of dollars for bioidentical hormones and hormone therapy, I can tell you one thing. It's your lifestyle. It's your diet. That's also what I do when I counsel people, not only as a guy, but with your lifestyle. I mean, I've gone into people's homes and I can pick up on energetic blockages and things that need to be taken care of or removed, detergents, all kinds of stuff. But let's stay on point here. So these are the field cleansers, right? Music at a high frequency, not 440. And it's hard, even if you're on YouTube, someone says it's 528 or 432. I doubt it. I don't have the tools or the technology, but there are tools and technology that can literally tell you if those the somatic rhythms, or what do they call those types of beats or musical notes that hit the subconscious and get you into a parasympathetic space. Okay. Silence and solitude, just being in nature, just chilling, getting away from all the electromagnetic smog and garbage. We're imbued with this stuff. Okay. Gratitude and appreciation. Can't say that enough. I'm grateful and I appreciate you even watching this, even if you do nothing with it, if we never meet or talk to one another, if you just go out into the world and you hire a practitioner, even for the practitioners, and you get a client, gratitude and appreciation toward them and vice versa. So I'm always with that every day. Intention, not agenda. Okay. This is key right here. With my clients, I tell them come with no expectations, okay? And the reason for that is you can have an intention but not an agenda. What it does is it contracts your energy, okay? It doesn't allow for the full expansion, and based on the practitioner, what they're doing with you, even if they're doing cards or tarot or dowsing or whatever, extraneous oracle device, divination device that they're using, you just want to be clear, very clear, okay? Receiving, curiosity, trust, that expands the reception. The agenda, you're already coming in, you're going to test. And this is something I really dislike, and I know a lot of practitioners hate it when, like, prove it to me, show it to me. Like, I have nothing that I have to prove to anybody, right? If we align, we align, and it's all with the divine. Okay, and I don't work with creator gods. I don't channel any disincarnate energy or entity, none of that. This is all about you retaining, maintaining, and strengthening and fortifying your own connection to source as source, okay? You are this unique, specific spark, stardust fragment, not fragment, but essence of God source, okay? And I'm not talking about a being. I'm talking about the energy that is eternal, okay? Just to be clear. So, you're looking for confirmation, control, block reception. The session reflects what you're ready to receive. It really does. And mirroring is what this is all about. I mirror things back to people. I have on my Beacons page, I'll put a link for those of you that are interested in booking sessions, but I have what I call trustimonials, okay? And these are clients I've worked with all over the globe, right? Male, female, different cultures. And it's just their response, their interactions, because everything is co-creative, all right? Okay, so let's go there. So next, 4, know your baseline. Without grounding, you arrive as an open, unprotected field, basically lunch meat. People that can read your fields really well, can do all kinds of things, and the practitioner may not even know if they've got something in their field that is reaching out to the other person. By me sharing this, I'm not trying to create fear. I'm just trying to kind of open the window to the sort of world of the unseen. And I don't know everything. I'm always learning, growing, and expanding. But I'm just sharing my experience of what I've been through and where I'm at now. And I want to put it out there for all of you, depending on whatever side of the fence you're on, whether you're the client, the practitioner, or just someone just interested in knowing this information. Here you go. So grounding practices, obviously sun, walking, movement, connection, community. These are all things that are grounding. When we have connection with animals, with nature, with another human being, okay, that brings us, that we secrete dopamine, beta endorphins. These are feel-good hormones. This raises your frequency. This eliminates what we call dis-ease, okay? Very, very important. It may seem so insignificant in this world of comfort. Comfort equals chaos, period. Meditation, even 5 minutes, closing your eyes. Simple breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. There's different types of breath work. You can review and look into that. Devotional practice. Now, I'm not into dogma or religion, so if you need to pray to some externalized being and, look subservient, That's your personal choice, right? Um, there was a saying that'll come to me, but literally, I don't drop a knee. That's not me. We are that source. There's nothing we have to be subservient to. It, that's it. So you either seek internal worthship or external worship. Okay. I go with internal worthship, just so you know. All right. And that's my suggestion for you. So yoga or body movement, time in nature, barefoot, we talked about that connecting, journaling or stillness, grounded in most cases equals protected for the most part. There are other things that you can do to amplify and protect your fields. But the first thing is whenever you work with a client, or if you're the client going to a practitioner, is to not be in fear. You're going there to get support, to get grounded, and to get feedback. And even when you get the feedback, you need anything that I say, don't believe a word I say. Just remember, belief is something that you have to be convinced of. Intuition, cognition, emotion, and feelings, that's your body. You are a metagalactic amplifier, okay? So you transmit and receive 24/7, all the time, okay? And so when you can conduct your body in a space and place that allows for that transmission and those frequencies, you maximize the benefit and the outcome for you and for the practitioner. And when you have an awakening and you begin to get more awareness and expand, your everything, not only does that have an effect on the practitioner and you, but those ripple effects, those waves are going out into the field. Yeah, because we're all connected. Okay. And in that moment, you may not have direct awareness of that, but your ability to raise your own dopamine, your own frequency, your own energy has a ripple effect. And it affects not just humans, it affects all life forms cosmically. All right. Okay. An ungrounded client is harder to read and harder to guide. It's just the facts. 5, why are you here? Simon Sinek talks about why. What's your why? Why are you doing it? Your why and its frequency. Fear, right? Contracts the field. Grief needs gentle holding, support, compassion. Okay, anger creates interference. Anger literally creates cortisol, if you don't already know that, and endorphins, and it makes you completely acidic. It robs your energy, it opens your fields, and just again makes you vulnerable. Okay, validation seeking. Now this is a big one for people that don't know themselves. They don't recognize who they are, and I'm not talking about your culture, your skin, what your job is, what your income is. Who are you? People that don't know who they are, and I went through this. I went through this for a long time. In my first, I'm just trying to relate this to you so you understand. In my first marriage, I was trying to define myself through my spouse at the time because I had no idea about my identity. I was always trying to be something for someone else. Maybe you can relate to that. Okay. So validation seeking. Genuine guidance opens the channel fully. I cannot say this enough. If you trust somebody, I'm not saying you have to take the skeletons out of your closet and throw your heart on the table to someone you don't know yet. But being somewhat vulnerable, but not naive and gullible, is a noble trait to have, because there's a level of trust and openness that you are placing, and this is for the practitioner to pay attention to. When someone is sharing something with you, they're being vulnerable. That is the greatest honor that you can be given, is to have someone's trust placed in front of you, and that you take advantage of that is like that. Just, man, that steams my vegetables in every fucking possible way. Someone's coming to you and they're paying you money, hopefully. But, whatever you're charging for that exchange of service, the thing is, people think that they equate the dollar value to the outcome of what they're going to get. And it's not about that. It's not, I could get something in 2 seconds, but I could charge you $500. So, if I came to that answer, say over a week or two, and charge you the same amount. So people value It's cost versus investment. I just want to throw that into the mix of this conversation because I think it's important between client and practitioner. A lot of people they get disingenuous interactions and outcomes because they're equating dollar value for what the information is going to get. If someone has a track record of helping, typically the client and the practitioner work co-creatively together. And that's what generated the outcome that they were seeking, inevitably. It can happen in 5 seconds, it can happen in 5 months or 5 years. There is no time. That's the illusion. Okay, enough of that. Okay, so curiosity and trust. Again, that's what I was talking about there. All right, moving on. Physical state matters. Now, if you're eating McDonald's, Wendy's, crap food, junk food, drinking, soda, garbage, I'm just calling it out as I see it. If this offends you, affects you, I'm the wrong person to work with because I just call it as I see it. These things have a profound effect on your physiology and on your energy. It all starts with energy, my friends. Energy. If you have a physical issue, I'm going to throw this in there as well. I have 5 pillars that I look at. Energetic, spiritual, emotional, mental, and the last place things show up is physically. And if they do, it's the other 4 have never been addressed or looked at. Okay? So your physical state matters, but it matters as a result of the previous 4. Sleep, depleted body, scattered signal. Hydration. Okay? Substances, food, movement, clean water. All of these things matter, not tap water, right? Movement, not just getting up and putting your clothes and moving. More movement than that, you know? It's like going out for a walk. Sometimes I have to convince myself. I sit here in front of the computer because I'm doing all types of social media. You know, I have this little device here, a little Pomodoro, there it is, clock. And, you know, I use this thing. This is great. So if you're someone that just gets stuck with stuff, like I turn this on and, you know, it sets a timer. And when that buzzer goes off, I move my ass for the most part. Sometimes I don't. I don't pay attention to it. That's part of my human experience. Movement, clean water. 7, mirroring. This is where we're coming up on the end of this. But mirror, not a magic wand. You know, your practitioner is not a magician. And what you bring to the table and what they bring to the table, that's the alchemy, that's the chemistry that happens in that moment. And that moment is forever sacred. It's not like it's cookie cutter and you do the same thing each time. When I work with clients, I'm always deeply appreciative and fascinated with what comes through. Because that person may not even recognize they're making a shift or a change in the moment of the session. And sometimes, like, I'll go remote. I do what's called bilocating or trilocating, meaning I can be present talking to you in real time here. And in my field of vision, I will get like, I'll get an image or a scene that happened and I'll verbally express it to get, you know, confirmation. Does this make sense? Do you recall this? And then by me bringing that back into the present moment, it opens a file for somebody and all of a sudden something locks. Now that's happened on a handful of times, right? Over the many years I've been doing this. I don't go to, like, I work with a vertical collective. You could say a family of consciousness. I don't channel, okay? That's not something I do at all. I've been to channeling seminars, again, another conversation. I don't endorse it. But yeah, that's, where was I going with that? So, you know, yeah, the practitioner, but the changes that can happen are phenomenal. They really are. And if you've experienced something like this, hey, drop a comment below, right? If anything I'm sharing with you makes any sense or you have any questions or concerns or you don't agree with it, drop it, you know, make it constructive. So yeah, what comes through reflects what you're ready to receive, literally. The practitioner holds space and you do the work. We both do the work, but holding the space, holding the field is key, okay? It's literally like being in a sacred cosmic container where you are not coddled, but you are supported and nurtured, okay? Where you can be safe to release, transmute, transmigrate, and transfigure your energy and move into a space of grace and increase your frequency and dump the bullshit. The BS also is belief systems. Okay, that's also BS. No guide can give you more than you're open to. Okay, so if someone's making you some miraculous promise, I mean, there are people out there, that are so-called healers. They remove things, but I question that because yes, they can remove, say, cancer or a pain, physical pain, and I understand this. Physical pain is your body's way of communicating with you. And just because you have a pain in your shoulder or your leg or your hip doesn't mean that's the point of origin. It just means that's where it's getting your attention. And you have to talk to your body. You do. You can talk to your body and you'll get a response. You just have to be patient and learn to receive it. Open up those what are called apartheid units, right? Okay. You are your greatest tool, and your body is the only place that you have to live in. Okay? It houses your soul and your spirit. All right. So, protect and amplify. Your field is your most valuable asset. Okay? Your bioenergetic field. Now, white gold light, yes. I like pale silver. Pale silver light is D12 Maharata current. Intentional prayer, invocation, salt-based, salt baths. There's different types of salt. I'm not a big Himalayan salt fan. Epsom salt. You can even take salt, put it in some socks on the bottom of your feet at night when you go to bed, and that extracts toxins out because your feet have the widest amount. You can put certain types of organic essential oils on the bottom: lavender, wintergreen, black spruce, cypress. Different types of essential oils can really help to ground you. Okay, sound and frequency. Those are some things that are debatable. Different types of sound and frequencies, the solfeggio frequencies, Fibonacci stuff, not into it all. I refer to that, not my saying, as the fib of no chi. Nature immersion, I think, is one of the best. So if you're at a beach, you're in the mountains, even if you're in the desert, just getting out, not harming yourself, but getting into nature, away from there's my thing. Getting away from electromagnetic fields, non-native EMF, dirty electricity. I'm in my office here, right? I do things to mitigate the best I can. I use Ethernet. Even on my computer here, I have Iris Tech, which is, all these things help to boost your fields, your energy, not drain you and deplete you and distract you. Digital detox windows, we all need those. That is so, so crucial. EMF free time restores energetic coherence. It just does. So you create that shield. And I think, is that it? Oh, no, not done yet. Okay, so here you go. This is the Practitioner. I'm just going to move this over here. All right. So I'll go there, or I'll go up here. How about that? Okay, so we have clear. 1. You can smudge, you can use. I actually use Palo Santo. I have a good Palo Santo wood that I use just to clear the field. That's really nice. You want to get real authentic stuff, not cheap wood. Smudge, breathe, shower, pray, yoga, tone, humming. That's one thing that I forgot to add here. Humming does an amazing amount. Just any tone. You can feel vibration in your mouth, in your, the sutures in your skull and your body, but humming releases pent up emotions. Okay. Breath work can lead to shaking, meaning involuntary shaking. And that's something else that's really important too. If you've ever noticed in nature, I did a TikTok video where I showed, I forgot the guy's name, Berkeley. He has a book called Shake It Off. You can look that up. And basically animals do that in nature. When they've been, a predator is attack on after, say, an antelope or a deer, and they've escaped, right? They tend to just find a spot and they just shake for however long they need to, and they dissipate the energy, and then they're back to doing what they were going to go do. They let go of the pain, of the emotion, of the fear. They just shake it off. So, okay, that's what I want to talk about that. Number 2, protect. Set your shield. You could do, now, I don't know why I put white gold. Pale silver is what I use. Pale silver light. And there are techniques I can go into that are really, really, I think, advanced techniques for protecting your fields. Call in only what serves the highest good. Yes and no. That sort of works. I'm kind of giving you some rough basic ideas that most people have heard, but I can get more specific than be general. Set your intention aloud or silently, or even write it down. Writing is really good because when you write, you're bringing it out of the ethers into physical manifestation. You are transmitting that information into your the papyrus, your paper. You're bringing it into a physical reality. Okay, so now you're writing about it, and as you're writing, you're creating emotion and feeling, right? Yeah, and so that helps as well. So you set your intention. You are a clear channel, not a sponge. Center. All right, here we are. Totally important. Just center for 5 or 10 minutes. No phone. Feel your own field first. Ground. Feet on the floor. Right. Get rid of socks and shoes. If you can do it outside, do it outside. Breathe in the nose, into your belly, and if you can do it sitting, never while driving or sitting in water. That's a big no-no. Never do that. Okay. And open. Let go of the expectation and of the outcome. Have no expectations, right? Intentions are great. You are the mirror. They bring, what they're ready for. That's it. That's what this is about. And this is you, the Metagalactic Amplifier. We all are. We just maybe never realized it. We are such unique beings, these angelic humans, that we are eternal, not immortal. Don't go for the immortal bullshit story. Immortal beings and gods. Poo-poo. Transmission, reception, translation, reflection. So, there's different levels. I just kind of put through this together. So we can see, hear, feel, sense, taste, and we're the center of this. What I call this, well, there's usually a scale that I use where basically we're the incarnate. You have the soul, the oversoul, the avatar, the rishi. The rishi is a ball of sun, which is you right here. And so these different levels of consciousness allow for you to pull in all these frequencies and information, right? No device, card, or technology replaces a clear, grounded, calibrated, angelic human channel. And when I say channel, I don't mean you channel you as a sealed channel, meaning you are channeling your own energy. You, not a being. I'm not talking about Daryl Anka. I saw him 20 years ago with Bashar. I read the book Seth Speaks by Jane Roberts. There are 3 different types of channels, and I'm just stating this for shits and giggles, but there's conscious, trance, and out of body. Daryl Anka, Bashar is an out of body. Jane Roberts, out of body. And what happens is you either have extraterrestrial, metaterrestrial, or a disincarnate soul that comes in and basically merges with your energetic template. This may all sound like woo-woo. Yes, I got my tinfoil hat, but that's me. These things exist, and they can be quite harmful. And the astral plane is like, it's the cosmic ghetto. And if you are unprepared, man, it's a battlefield you don't want to do battle in. And I'll personally say that for myself. You just have to pick your fights or your battles, pick your battles, and just know what your limitations are. Okay? So, I think that's it. Is that it? 9 of 10? Where's my 10 slide? Oh, here we go. Do your part. There we are. Hygiene is a practice, not a one-time event. You can look at this, take it for what it is. Client checklist, practitioner checklist. For the client, avoid heavy substances 3 hours prior. Limit draining conversations pre-session. Set a clear intention, not an agenda. Get grounded before you arrive. Hydrate and rest the night before. Come curious, not desperate. Trust what comes through. Journal after. Anchor the insight. For you practitioners, you tarot card readers, you psychics, you mediums, all of us, right? We have a big responsibility. And we have to clear our fields before every single session. And we set our own protection and boundaries. Whatever that works for you, if that works. I have different modalities and things that I do energy-wise to run frequencies to amplify and protect my fields. If you'd like more information on that, I'm happy to share that. Ground into your body. That's something I want to bring a really important point. When I've worked with clients and people, I can usually get a percentage of when someone is literally present, they have energetic presence in their body. Most people walking around that you see, you can call them NPCs, zombies, whatever you want, they're, if any of them are in their body, maybe 40 to 70% at any given time. It just depends. But when you come to a session and when you are working with a client, you need to be present. Because if you're not going to be present and accountable in your body, something else will be. Okay? So it's muy importante. Okay? All right. Drink clean water before and after. If you can drink structured water that you've put your intentions in, spring water's good. Like I tend to do, I like Gerolsteiner. This is a spring. It's called balneotherapy. I get this at like TJ's. And when it's chilled, it's so refreshing. But that's a sparkling water. But I do other things too. I have a device that I use to make coherent water. And I can tell you more about that if you're interested. Got lots of great things, goodies. But I don't even call it biohacking. I call it renaturing or rewilding. And that's not, I didn't come up with those terms. All right, back to the practitioner checklist. Release attachment to the outcome for both the client and both of you. No attachment. Discharge absorbed energy post-session. So clients and practitioners, we both need to do things to discharge the energy. Rest after high volume sessions. Even a half hour for me, I need to go take a walk, depending on the time of day, Rest after high volume sessions. Audit your own inputs weekly. And that's basically it. That's what this is really all about. You got to do your part. And when you do, you will see tremendous difference. And even in the clients, I find that I've worked with even other practitioners or guided them. I've said, look, if you're getting clients that are, not of your liking, I mean, it's like, I don't pick and choose. It's all about frequency and alignment. It's a broadcast, and there's growth and learning too, right? And that's the beautiful thing for me because everything's a reflection. But I think a lot of times there are people, clients or practitioners that get clients that just, they see no progress with themselves or with their client. And that's a time for inner reflection, for outer direction. You need to take a break because, then it becomes ego driven because now you're doing it for the monetization and not for the actualization of being present and accountable for your client. So that matters most for both of you. But especially when you're working with someone and there's an exchange of energy going on. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share. I hope this was helpful, insightful. Hope this provided some awareness. And if you have any questions or comments, please drop them below. If you'd like to book a session, I'll have links in the description. And that's it. Sending you all my love, right? Have a beautiful day or evening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Ciao for now.